Did you think I was gonna make it? First 250 of the year. Finally done. Dual Blade is not a good mobber. Well, I knew that coming into this, but I didn't expect it to be the worst mobber I have done so far. I expected it to be on the level of Shadower, since that was my first 250, but it surprised me in being well worse than Shadower in most aspects. For the gear, since this is the first luck character that I'll be showing, I'll go through all my equips. As always, same drop gear. Nothing has really changed here. A pretty good cup. 27% luck belt. Very, very nice. This was one of the first items I actually cubed during DMT when I was playing my Shadower. My handmade amazing Fafnir Damascus. It's pretty booty, but the potential's alright. The flame's pretty good. It gets the job done. Drop pendant of spirit for the EXP. It's pretty mandatory. And now the most important thing. If you're crazy, and if you want to grind a 250 as a dual blade, like I did, I highly recommend you don't. But if you do, you need skill cooldown on a hat. Absolutely need it. 2 seconds, I would say, is the minimum. Ideal is 3 to 4. And you'll see why later when I start showing you the rotations, but skill cooldown is so important to dual blades mobbing. It's unreal. An okay face. Spec goggles. These are really handy because they're fully tradable, and they have pretty decent stats that cover a lot. So I use them just because I'd have to use the aquatic eyeliner accessory, and that's not better. 24% top, very nice. Was really happy when I made that. 18% pants, decent enough flame. 17% all stat boots. I'll be moving those over to Xenon when I get to him. 8% crit damage and decent sharp eye gloves. It was the bare minimum 2-line I was going to settle for, and we happened to roll it, so we settled on it. An okay shoulder. Our drop earrings. And holy moly, have you heard of luck? I'm not joking. This B-pot was 1 cube during DMT. From rare to 3-line attack percent in 1 cube. I used up all of my luck for 2020 on this dang thing. Our amazing Ghost Ship Exorcist badge. With the very unlucky but lucky B-pot. 3 months of Fairy Bros, 3 B-pot cubes, 3 tier ups, 0 luck lines. I don't know how I feel about it, but it's whatever. I'm done with this character. Then my crowning jewel, the best item I've ever made. Oh no, it's so ugly, but it gets the job done, and it's fully tradable, so if anyone's crazy out there in my friends list or my guild who wants to train as a dual blade, hit me up, I'll let you borrow that bad boy, since obviously it's better than anything else I've got. For the V-Matrix. Most important skill, as always, decent holy symbol, and bar none, the best skills dual blade has. Blades of Destiny, Blade Tornado, and Blade Tempest. These two alone together have such a low cooldown and have such high damage that just these two combined does the total damage of Blade Tempest for bossing. It's ridiculous. And add on to that, these two are just invaluable for mobbing. Now for your Trinode, you want Blade Fury, Phantom Blow, and Sudden Raid as your primary Trinode. Those are your most important 3 skills. And my secondary Trinode, since you do need 2 Trinodes for this class, is Goofy, because I was tricked into thinking I would need these skills, when in reality, they really fucking suck. But the one you want to take from here is Blade Ascension. This skill is so important to your quality of life in the endgame grinding areas as a dual blade. You need this boost node because it's pretty low damage, but you don't need Bloody Storm, you don't need Flying Assaulter, and you don't need Chains of Hell at all. So your secondary Trinode should be Blade Ascension, Ashura's Anger, and Blade Clone. All 3 of those are very, very necessary for both bossing and mobbing, and they're very, very good. The other 3 skills are entirely worthless, so don't get tricked into putting those on a tri-node like I did. Then Urta Shower. Dual Blades mobbing is bad. Really, really bad. You need as much mobbing help as you can get. So obviously you want to flex in Urta Shower whenever you get the opportunity for a node slot. True Arachnid Reflection, because you get it from completing the Esfera questline, it's very useful. Decent Sharp Eyes for the crit rate and the crit damage. Rope Lift, because even while you have Blade Ascension, Rope Lift is just invaluable for Spirit Savior alone, that it's worthy of a spot for me. And Character Building 1 for the bonus EXP, because you always want to have that. Now I'm going to rag on Dual Blades mobbing a lot this video, but towards the end I'll talk more about the bossing, which is honestly the saving grace of this class. For 200 to 210, you want to be in Eastern Cave Path 2 or in Below the Cave. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? These are the tried and true maps for Vanishing Journey. They just work. Your rotation is pretty simple. You just flash jump and use Blade Fury. And you can hit both platforms all the way to this side. When you're on the right side, I would put your Lucid Soul here. And then obviously you want to have Blades of Destiny and your Tornado, and then just use those on off cooldown because they are so good at mobbing. The skills are honestly so strong individually, but as a whole package, they don't do enough to salvage how bad Blade Fury is as a mobbing skill. It's pretty miserable. And then obviously, just use Ashura's Wrath whenever it's off cooldown. It's pretty much the same kill speed, but it's just a couple less button presses for a rotation, because all you have to do is flash jump when this is up. But it's pretty self-explanatory. This is what you'll be doing all the way till 210 and into Choo Choo Island. Now 200, oh fuck. Okay, here's another qualm about this class. If you're going to be leveling this class, if you're just leveling as a dual blade, you crazy person, there is a skill. Which job advancement is it? Where are you at? Oh yeah, 3rd job Blade Lord. Advanced Dark Sight. Take all the points you have in this skill out of this skill. It is so infuriating to deal with. Not only does it stop you from teleporting, like what just happened there, because you can't teleport in Dark Sight, it will stop you from looting items on the ground, it will eat your key inputs, it will just make skills not go off when you press the keys. It's absolutely infuriating to use, because not only is this proccing passively, Shadow Meld is also proccing passively. And there's a few frames where when this procs, if you have a key input, it just gets overridden. It just doesn't happen. And you will feel that so much. I can't overstate it enough how many times I was trying to clear a map and just inputs got completely eaten by Shadow Meld and Advanced Dark Sight. Shadow Meld's not that bad. This one's pretty quick. This is the real culprit. So if you're gonna just be leveling as a dual blade, highly recommend don't put any points in this. It's really handy for bossing, it gives you that final damage, which is really good, but for mobbing, it is absolutely detrimental to quality of life. Now enough of me ranting about this class. I mean, I'll keep ranting, but enough for now. 210 to 220, Slurpy Forest Depths. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's see if we can find a map. This honestly wasn't the worst. Hey look, another dual blade. But it wasn't great either, because the rotation I found heavily relies on your Lucid Soul one-shotting. Which, as a luck class, isn't the easiest thing to do. But I was in the lucky position to be where I was strong enough that it was. My Lucid Soul would go on this left side here. Then from the bottom, you would use Blades of Destiny, teleport up, Flash Jump, and Blade Fury, and then just keep attacking down, clear, wait for the spawn again, then use Blade Tornado. And you will just do this and cycle those 2 cooldowns, and it actually comes out to being pretty good EXP. The only downside, as you can see, these 2 skills are so much visual clutter, especially Tornado. It will completely obscure your screen every single time. So what I did when I was training in this map, because for this to work you need to hit the portal every single rotation, I turned my skill transparency all the way down, and even at zero, the tornado is pretty bad about obscuring your vision. But the clear is pretty good, the rotation is real simple, and it's not bad EXP. Obviously it's not the best, and hey look, fucking advanced dark sight stopping us from TPing again. It's not the worst. But 200, or not 200, sorry, 220 to 225, or in my case, and I would highly recommend staying here until 235. Rev Place 3 is just outright better than any Arcana map and any Esfera map until you can reliably one-shot everything and like have a 2 or 3 shotting Lucid Soul, which again, as a luck class, isn't the easiest thing. Rev 3 though is pretty easy to clear. You're not going to need terribly high range for your Lucid Soul to 2-shot, but the rotation is Lucid Soul goes up here, because you never want to be up clearing this. You want to just be flash jumping along the bottom, hitting all of these with Blade Fury. And then like the last map, you want to rotate Blades of Destiny and your Blade Tornado on cooldown. So you'll just be flash jumping along, use your big AoE on the house, because obviously Blade Fury isn't big enough to hit them, and then just keep flash jumping back and forth. And if it ever looks like I'm just not using a skill while playing this, again, that's Shadow Meld and Advanced Dark Sight proccing that looks like it's eating an input. And it'll be very noticeable here, because you're always jumping through mobs. You always have that % chance to auto go into Dark Sight or to proc Shadow Meld. This is where the infuriation began with these two skills for me, because sorry about that. The simple rotations I try to do that are like light on actions per minute usually rely on me getting all of my key inputs off when I press the keys, and having stuff just not work throws me off so bad. But for 230 to 235 if you come here a little earlier, or 230 to 250 if you're too weak for Esfera, CLP, it's the place to go. Sorry about that, I had to clear my throat. I'm a bit sick, so bear with me. Now, for CLP, this is where your cooldown reduction hack comes way into play. Because the rotation here, it's terrible, the EXP rate is awful. Please go play a Night Lord. I beg you, don't do this to yourself. This isn't fun. This isn't good. The rotation is all of your AoEs. You want to lead with your shortest cooldowns, and then follow with one of your longer cooldowns. So generally you want to lead with Blades of Destiny, since it's your shortest cooldown. Then I would follow that with Sudden Raid, follow that by Tornado, and then once Tornado clears everything, Blades of Destiny again, then follow that with Urda Shower, which I don't have keyed here, then follow that with Urda Shower, then a Tornado again, and then just every time you see stuff spawn in the map, alright, don't want to chaos that guy. But just like that, you want to be cycling your long cooldowns. And it's miserable EXP rate. I'm not gonna deceive you. It is awful EXP. But it is pretty much the best rotation you've got, aside from just jumping around and spamming, and that's where the next place comes in. MTS2. This is much better EXP, but it is much harder on the wrists, and it's also a lot more damage requiring. This is where Blade Ascension really comes into effect. If your Blade Ascension doesn't one-shot while you have Final Cut's damage boost, this isn't going to be amazing EXP. Blade Ascension isn't the biggest impactor for your clear, but it's big enough that it makes a sizable difference in your kills. Need to put on Rope Lift again. The rotation is pretty much Rope Lift over here, stop your Rope Lift midway so that you can flash jump and use either Tornado or Blades of Destiny, and then just Ascension your way over to the left. And then you just clear like this, stop it halfway, and then Blade Ascension all the way over. Then you just drop down and you complete the cycle. Now this is a simple rotation. This is a really simple rotation. But up until 246, my Blade Ascension was not dealing enough damage to actually kill the mobs. So the EXP wasn't that great. It was still better than the CLP rotation, obviously, because it's miserable in CLP. But again, it wasn't good. I was getting maybe 9 to 11% per hour here. And this is a lot more active of a farming method than the CLP rotation. So it does take more of a toll on my wrists the longer that this goes on. For a lot of the levels 240 to 250, I would do 4 hours per day if I could in Esfera. And then once my wrists started hurting, I would obviously move to CLP, where it was a lot less intensive on my wrists to train there. Now, I ragged on the bossing, or I ragged on the mobbing quite a lot, but I need to sing Dual Blade's praises when it comes to bossing. This probably would have been the most miserable 250 I've done, even worse than Marksman, even worse than Zero, if it wasn't one of the most fun bossers I have ever played. I guess that's the trade-off for having the worst mobbing in the game that I've experienced so far. It is so good at bossing. It is so fun to boss with. You have 3 iframes. You have tons of burst damage. You have such huge burst buffs. Just doing CRA each week and doing hard bosses. It was so much fun that it made the mobbing bearable. But at the same time, I would never do this again. And I implore anyone out there who's like, I'm gonna train Dual Blade to 250 as a Dual Blade. Please don't. Learn from my suffering that it's not good. While it does have some okay rotations, if you're a Night Lord, let me put this into reference. The CLP rotation for Dual Blade, which is where I did most of my training, was averaging 7 to 8% per hour. 7 to 8% is bad. It is miserably bad. My Night Lord, who is using the same exact gear, with pretty much the same range, was getting 12 to 14% per hour with the same buffs in CLP. That is a massive difference in mobbing. It's so crazy. So if you do like Dual Blade, if you enjoy the class for its bossing, which honestly, who doesn't? It's so good. It's so much fun. Just Blade Tornado and Blades of Destiny together, they feel so smooth for bossing. And it feels so good when you have a cooldown hat because they're up so frequently. You can pretty much use Blade Tornado, Blades of Destiny, and then full Blade Tempest. Once Blade Tempest is over, Blades, and you just have such massive burst. Not to mention having all the iframes, all the mobility that Dual Blade carries. It makes bossing so versatile. You have so many options for so many situations. It's really, really fun to play with. A Dual Blade, even though it's one of the funner bosses, I probably won't main this class. It really showed me what a good bosser can do. It's probably one of the best bossers up there with Hero in terms of solo bossing. But for me, for a class that I would want to main, it needs to be kind of an all-rounder. And Dual Blade just is not an all-rounder. It put all of its stats into bossing and left its mobbing at a solid 0. But if you have any questions about Dual Blade, about grinding 10k Legion, about playing Maple Story in general, feel free to ask them down below. I make a point in all of these videos for any questions, even if you find this video 6 months down the line, a year down the line. I make a point with all of these videos to answer any and all questions to help people get into this game or to understand something, or even if I don't understand it, I'll help point you in the right direction. But I hope you liked this video. Thanks for waiting for me. This one took quite a while. Hopefully the next one won't take nearly as long, but I hope to see you in the next one.